All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Tal Schnall here with LeadWithGiantsTV. Friday afternoon. I'm glad everybody is joining us as much as you can. If not, you can catch this show live, recorded actually over the weekend. You can just kind of in between playing basketball or baseball, whatever you want, you can kind of catch the show. But I'm honored and thrilled to have Shep Hyken back with us. Welcome, Shep.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, and we'll come back because he's got a little background there to explain to all of us. But let me start off a little bit of introduction here. We'll start off on the left-hand side there with Dan Forbes, the founder of Lead with Giants Community. So welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tal. Shep, good to be with you today. Also with you, Liz. I'm hanging out from Sarasota, Florida. Dan Forbes, and you can find the Lead with Giants community at leadwithgiants.com. But we gather across Twitter, Google+, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and hope everybody will join us for leadership-themed discussions. Thanks, Tal.
You're welcome. We'll go next to Utah, right across the globe here, with Liz Stinselli. Go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, I'm coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm with Stinselli Advisors, and I'm glad I can join you this afternoon.
Great. Last but not least, Mr. Shep Hyken, customer service expert. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I'm Shep Hyken, customer service expert, author of a number of books. I help companies create amazing experiences for their customers. That's what we do.
Great. And in case you don't know, Shep, it's not his first book, but his latest book, Amaze Every Customer Every Time. Wonderful read. Has a lot of different examples, real-time stories. The main one is about Ace Hardware, which we talked about on our last Hangout. But Shep, you're offering really great tools for leaders, and I know you have a chapter in your book about leadership. And so I know leadership kind of tends to be overused, the word itself, leadership, but from a customer service perspective, and I'm in the hospitality business, so I can relate. What are some of the tools, like maybe 3 basics tools that leaders can work with in the customer service industry?
Right, I'm trying to get my camera to do its
Sure,
thing.
go ahead.
There we go. It's
an
automatic setting that doesn't ever want to turn off. So that, to me, leadership isn't just about leaders being involved in customer service. I think when it comes to leadership and customer service, it's everybody's job. So the first several chapters, well, actually the first big chapter of the 5 areas we cover in the book are focused on leadership. So let me just give you a couple of my favorites. And really, at the end of the day, it's about creating this empowering organization that allows all employees to step up and be a leader when it comes to customer service. So one of the first tools, and actually the first of the 50 tools, is act like the owner. One of my favorites for this reason, I learned it from an 18-year-old kid who wasn't the owner. But he told me, he worked at a pizza restaurant, he said, the best compliment came the other night when some of the guests asked him, "Are you the owner?" And he said, "Why would you ask that?" And they said, "Because you take such pride in your work and you just are doing such a great job. We thought you had to be the owner's son, or you're the owner." And he goes, "Wow, I want all of my customers to think that way." So first and foremost, you act like the owner. Now I'm going to jump to one other one that I think is really cool, and I can't remember exactly what I called it in the book, but it has to do with what Walt Disney called stooping to excellence. Did we talk about that the last time?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Shep, you might want to fix your camera. It kind of went off again on the different.
Yeah, okay, it wants to move around. There you go. Yeah. I'm just going to step back just a
I think your camera is all jolly today.
It's very excited. It's having a very good Friday.
Talk without your hands. It's repositioning.
Is that what it's? My hands
I think so.
Anyway, yeah, I get excited talking about this stuff. So Walt Disney had this concept about stooping to excellence, which meant that when he walked through the theme park, he knew that everybody was watching him. And if he walked by a piece of paper that was on the ground and he didn't pick it up, that he gave permission to everybody to not pick up that piece of paper. So when he walked by, he stooped down, picked it up, and he called that stooping to excellence. And I think it's a great metaphor, because if I'm working and I see my manager, my leader, my supervisor not being congruent with what is expected, then it's giving me permission to do the same. And at the same level, I want to be the guy that everybody looks to. And if it doesn't matter who you are, what you do in a company, you want others to admire you. So step up and act like a leader. And in customer service, we can all do that. I think those are two really powerful concepts.
No, and I agree with you. And I think, recently I actually did listen to a very interesting podcast about one of the trainers at Disney World and some of the things they've learned from actually the guy who instituted the Disney University back in the day. And there's so many great lessons about what you talk about. And it's very true. It's all leadership by example, which I think is so critical to customer service experience in any organization. So, and I want to come back to that because I do have a follow-up question to that. But I want to go around the room and give the panel the opportunity to also dive into some of those topics. So let's go ahead and start off with Dan if he's got a questions for us.
Well, I was thinking about the word consistency and how that plays into customer service. Sometimes, as we were talking before the show began, you have an experience with a restaurant, for example, and the service is consistently mediocre. But that's your expectation when you go there. And yet another one you frequent, it's consistently excellent, and that's your expectation. So how does consistency and how is consistency used positively in upping the customer service experience, Shep?
Oh, you're asking me. I thought you were going to give me the answer. But so I think consistency, and when I do a presentation, the first time a client hires me, one of my favorite strategies or tactics to talk about is consistency for this reason. The goal that we want for our customers is to know, like, and trust us. Now, you've heard that old expression before, people want to be around people, or people like to buy from people who they know, like, and trust. And I want them to know the experience that they're going to get when they call us or when they visit us, regardless of the type of business we're in. I want them to trust that it's going to be consistent. I want them to like whatever the experience it is. So you get that know, like, and trust. But that trust part is key. The trust part is all about the customer knowing that the next time they visit this restaurant or whatever, it's a consistent experience. There's a famous actor, Richard Burton. He's no longer with us, but he was known for being just great at what he did. In spite of all the problems that the man had, he had quite a few problems with relationships, and he abused, various, whether it be alcohol or whatever. He would walk out on stage and give like a command performance, the performance of his life. And he was known to say something like this. As he was walking out, he said, "I want to be so good tonight that I cheat the audience that was here the night before." And whether he could do it or not didn't matter. That was the effort that he put forth. And I think that what our customers want from all of us, regardless of the type of business we're in, is for us to try real hard to make them happy. And if we're trying real hard, they're going to see that we're trying. And they're going to give us the benefit of the doubt. So if every once in a while something doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, they know that their effort, we're not relenting at all, and we're doing the best we can. And we also have a system, which is another topic, a system in place to overcome any problems that would happen. But it's that consistent effort and the consistent, predictable experience that the customer is going to receive.
That's important as well. I think it's a great point that Dan brings up. I know the level of consistency from fast food restaurants to real-time full-service restaurants to hotels. I mean, we talk about this every day, so I know consistency and level of consistency is a critical aspect of any service operation because for us, for example, as much as we try, every customer matters, no matter who walks in the door and where they're staying at the hotel. They can go down to the restaurant. They can actually come down to the pool. So every experience with every customer is critical. And if you lose one, you can potentially lose a survey. We'll talk about that later. But let me go over to Liz, and she's got a question for us, or for you, Shep.
Okay. We're a small enough company where we actually have a cheat sheet up at our front desk. All of our clients, all of our vendors, we have names, we have their wives' names, we have their children's names. When they call in or walk in the door, the person at the front desk can glance down. We know information about them. So they get a very personal experience. We can ask about how they're doing. We know, did they just come back from vacation? That type of thing. How can you kind of carry something like that over to a larger organization where it's impossible to have all of that information at your fingertips for all of your clients.
So I think what you're talking about more than anything is the ability to build rapport. And it's real easy when you have a finite number of clients and you can create a piece of paper to do this on. But there's so many great materials or great programs out there that you can use today. You know, your CRM allows you to have fields that might have that kind of information. You know, you can immediately, if it's, you know, if you're talking a call center and somebody calls in, you can see the area code they're coming in, or it'll automatically log to their records so that you can start to see, oh, this person, like I'm from St. Louis, you're from Salt Lake. I go, so how are things in Salt Lake City? All I've got to do is say something like that to just build a little rapport as I'm pulling up the rest of their record. I talk about building rapport to the level of trying to communicate on a level past business. What's the thing people want to talk about more than anything?
Themselves.
Exactly, themselves, unless they have what?
Unless we have Dan.
No, unless we have kids.
Okay.
Kids. Yeah.
We don't have kids, so that's why.
Right. People like talking about their kids more than they like talking about themselves. Now, if for some reason you were to realize that, hey, this person has kids, and you happen to get their names, and you can actually write that up or log it in the CRM, you might say, hey, last time we talked, you know, little Bobby was playing in the soccer tournament, or Sally was getting ready to graduate high school, and you can ask them about that. They will love talking to you about their kids. Don't ask them about their husbands and wives because they come and go. But they're always going to be your kids. But here's a cool little thing to check into, a good resource. A friend of mine, Harvey McKay, has written a number of books. One of my favorite books that he wrote was the very first one, which was Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. And in the book, he has a questionnaire. He calls it the McKay 66. And it's 66 questions that he wants to have answered about his customer. Now, some of those are business related. He was in the printing business, and he would have all kinds of information about it. But quite a few were personal related. You know, name of a spouse, name of the kids, where they grew up, name of the dog. You know, all kinds of information. His goal was, if I had all 66 of these questions filled out, it would be very difficult for a competitor to come in and steal my customer away from me. All because of that relationship and that rapport that's being built. So I think you're onto something, Elizabeth. I think that it's the right thing to do. Get your people to engage in conversation, especially if they can recall what the last, you know, hey, you were here 6 weeks ago, you were here, you know, whatever, and this is what was going on.
All right. Well, great. Why don't we conclude the first segment here and then what we'll do is invite you guys back. So we'll go ahead and finish up here real quick, just a moment.